Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Cottagio. I'm a member of Encore Palm Beach County, and Encore is hosting these weekly events to keep people abreast of what is happening in the business world and personally and professionally, how to move forward in these challenging times. So we'll be offering you more and more information about things to help you navigate all these transitions that we're all dealing with. So I want to thank you all for joining us. We have a very special guest this morning, and very typical of Encore, because we're all about, educating the 50+ community and providing resources for them. So we have Sheila Finkelstein, who is the tech-savvy senior, and she is an 80-year-old grandmother whose kids, educators, and business people often come to her for how-tos. As a former teacher and current life coach, Sheila has had years of experience in honing her communication skills. She now uses them to support seniors in having fun while learning how to thrive in the age of technology. Sheila's own in-depth tech journey started with her first website in 2004, and she'll give you all her links and information as we move forward. Her technology site is technologyforseniors.madeeasy.com, and we'll be sharing that towards the end. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed about the technology or your phones or your tablets, Sheila is your go-to person. So we'll give you her contact information before we close out today. So I am going to start. I'm going to introduce Sheila. We are going to do a poll, but first I'd like to introduce Sheila. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Christine. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for the opportunity to have learned a lot more. I love making discoveries, and when Christine and I were on the phone yesterday, or on Zoom yesterday, I discovered a whole new thing that I'm excited about, and something got stuck with that, so I will explain as we go on. So thanks.
Okay, great. So just so we get a bit of now excuse me for a moment because I just learned this yesterday. So Sheila, you might want to walk me through it so that anyone watching can learn how to do it as well, the poll.
Okay, so we'll discuss that poll. It's the thing, you were just click on the poll. It's going to take you to the website, I think, to Zoom on the website, because that's where it's managed.
Okay.
And one of the things I'll be discussing is, I didn't realize this until recently, is the difference between the settings on what Zoom calls the web portal and the app that we have on our computer that most of you likely have downloaded. Looks like you're all experienced, and that is called the web client in Zoom terminology now. So in order to do polling and things like that, Christine's now probably taken to the web. Did you find it, Christine?
Yes, I'm typing the question.
Okay, great. So I thank you all for being here. Yeah, so that's what I've got to do. I'm hiding participants. Good, okay. What I discovered yesterday as Christine's making those questions is that, and I don't know if the setting was always there or it was new, but that we can actually screen share. And in the screen sharing, I can be showing, and that's what I'll be doing, is showing all the Zoom controls. And I never was able to do that before. I think I did that two words. Anyway, I was never able to do that before. And it means that instead of talking you through it, you can also see what happens. So we will be going through all the controls and the importance of them and security.
Okay, so now let's see if I do this right. I have the questions in, I'm saving it. Okay. Now to get back to the meeting. Okay.
Okay, you should say launch or something, right?
Yeah, it said save. Okay. All righty. Somehow I'm not getting back to the meeting. Okay, hang on, bear with me.
Okay. Well, you
Bear
hit
with
the
me.
icon. It's one of the
See,
things I'm showing.
okay, so this is a learning curve for all of us. And there we are. Okay, launch polling. Okay, so the question is, because Sheila is such a wealth of information, we'd like to know, are you more interested in using Zoom as a participant, or scheduling and hosting your own meetings, or both? Now you should see the poll should have popped up. So, and yeah, there we are, and we're getting our responses. Awesome. Okay, great.
Okay, I'm not going to take it.
Okay, Sheila, it looks like a little bit of both, a little bit more on the scheduling and hosting side.
Okay.
Oh, we're still going. Hold on. Hold on. I think we're just about, we still have a few more votes coming in. Okay, we have 4 people who haven't voted.
Okay, well, I was one of them. Okay, well, moving along, because what I realized as I was going, Zoom is excellent for support. I'm going to show you how somebody I read on Facebook yesterday was doing a whole, oh, okay, scheduling and hosting.
Mhm.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
great, thanks. You also want to know about participants when you're scheduling and hosting. So I found the perfect guide. I'll give you the link to it and I'll show you for everything for the newbie to do to set up. And then we'll be going through all the controls. The thing that had me a little bit late, those of you who were that on early, was that I discovered, as I said, if I start screen sharing, as soon as I start screen sharing, all those controls are going to show in. Now, when you record, one of the things I really appreciate, we see everybody's name, everybody's picture, unless you've decided to hide it. In the recording, no names are ever shown. But what happened now is I discovered if I screen share, and I wanted to show you participants, and I'll go over it, but I'll not show you, that's going to show up too, so your names wouldn't be private. So when I get to explaining participants, then I will not be screen sharing that part, but I do want to screen share the rest of the whole thing. So, deep breath. If anybody else is tense, I like to stop sometimes and everybody just take a deep breath.
Mm.
In, hold, release. And actually, Jan Kinder's here. I saw Jan could have done that. Oh wait, kinder. I discovered I was doing it wrong. Okay. So I see a couple people. I'm going to go over even just basics or an appearance, just when you're showing, particularly if you want to see if your chin is kind of chopped off. 2 ways to handle that: move further back from your computer if you can. And if you can, I'm not going to show it. I don't want to disconnect, but if you push your bottom of your screen away from you more, then that positions your head. Great. Okay. So you can see that. So that's one way of doing that. A lot of us wear glasses. So you see I have reflections in mine. If you take your glasses off, tilt them so it's at an angle in, the earpieces are up, and you probably see that there's a lot less glare in mine. Even when I turn to my window, I see the glare has sort of disappeared. Okay. As you probably will know, as I said, it looks like most of you are familiar with using Zoom. There's the chat. So I ask that you take any questions. I'm not sharing screen yet, so I'm just going to push. Oh, chat has been disabled. You've disabled chat on this then?
Ooh, not intentionally.
So look to see in your security thing if you have.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Should have it now. There we go. Okay.
Sheila? There are a couple of people who aren't muted, and so we're hearing lots of their noise
Mm-hmm.
going to the. So
What was that?
Yeah, but actually, if you would please all mute yourselves. Okay, so we don't have any background noise. Thank you. And then when we get into the Q&A later, we can unmute.
Oh, okay. Lynn said she's having trouble on audio. When you first started, it said connect to audio. There's a setting when you're waiting by your microphone with a little arrow. You can check your audio. And I don't know if you had a phone number to call in, Christine.
Yes, there was a phone number, yes.
Okay, so I sometimes say if people have trouble hearing the audio is to call in. Just make sure you mute your phone. So let me just see if the call-in number is here. No, I don't know. Christine, can you put the that number? Do you have it in the chat?
Let me find it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Never mind. She just chatted. That she turned up her volume and it's fine.
And all of a sudden, everybody seems louder. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Okay. So, okay, and everybody should be mute. I don't know if you can mute all now, Christine, if you have that option. One of the things that Zoom has said, those of you that have been around Zoom for a while have probably noticed things have changed. I don't know how Christine started this, so this is, I'm sort of starting here. When I've set up a meeting, I have as a courtesy to showing no video, no mute. So that if I come in, you come in and you're playing with papers or doing something, you on no video. You then have a choice to turn on your video, and the video just means your camera, or the, and the mute. If Christine or if the host mutes all, no longer can the host unmute anyone. They have to ask you to unmute, and you have the option of unmuting yourself. Christine, did you get any questions in when you first?
No, we didn't get any. No.
Okay, so when people signed up. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to officially start now. I'm going to be sharing screen now. And as I said, I will not share the participant list. So if everybody wants to go, let me explain that now. We're recording, but since I'm not sharing screen, we won't see it. So when you click on participants, you see everybody's name. And you likely have, if you touch a particular name, that brings up the chat message and you can just tap. So Christine is host, or if you want something specifically to me, it will go just to that person. Otherwise, and if you stay on that person, you want to make sure and you wanted it to go to everyone. In this case, I don't think it's necessarily everyone that's important, but you would then just make sure that you have everyone there. Now I'm going to mention this again. Well, hold that, insecurity about chat. So now I'm going to, and you'll see on the chat message, you have the option to invite people, to mute, to also raise hands. So I'm raising my hand now, and the guest will see, I think you see a hand above my window, which shows I have questions. Now I can lower it. I don't know whether the host can lower it also. And we have that. So that's on the participants, and you see, or you probably noticed if you didn't know, when there is a chat message, a number, now it's red, it used to be orange, little bubble comes up and it shows a number in it, and it shows that there are messages. Looks like everyone is on, well, I'll go into that again. So I'm no longer going to show the participants. You have a choice to show participants. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, so I will get to that. I would suggest, and I'm going to suggest again, the question was asked, and I shouldn't be, Christine told me, distracted by questions because I probably answer them. But part of the Zoom thing, Zoom has been changing and getting really, really secure and adding more and more things. And as of May 30th, everyone is going to be automatically put on 5.0, and now for me it's 5.0.3 or something, I think. I suggest, I waited, if you have a meeting or something scheduled before the 30th and you're afraid, then hold up. But I suggest that before, who knows what Zoom is doing everyone, I would suggest downloading it now. I was concerned myself because I have an older Mac and I was afraid it wouldn't be compatible, but I finally bit the bullet and it was seamless and everything's fine. So I would suggest that you do it as soon as possible. Anytime, and for security reasons, anytime Zoom has an update, they'll notify you and you can always check online to see if you need the updating. Okay, now I'm going to screen share so that, okay, now the guest has to, for she wisely has disabled screen sharing. Now, if you will allow me to share, Christine. This was another thing we were going to set up first. So put by my name and you should.
There we go. Okay. All right. It's not coming up there.
Okay, I have it.
Okay.
Now, I assume, do you now see desktop, whiteboard, iPhone, etc. on your screen, a preview and 2 images? Christine?
No.
Oh, I forgot to share it. Okay. There's a little thing that says share.
You are, okay.
Okay, now do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, you see. So what happens, and I suggest right now that is very clean. In preparing this meeting, I didn't want all the different open windows, so I've hid all my windows. The blue background that you see is I cover up my desktop, you know, like sometimes you put things under a bed if you have company on. Well, I have a plain white, blue, all blue thing that covers my desktop so that you don't see all my open icons. You'll note here also, these are all asides, but there's iPhone and iPad via cable and AirPlay. I discovered the other day when I was in a meeting also that I have a Mac also. I discovered the other day that even Windows computers can mirror what's on the iPhone or iPad. So if you were trying to show somebody anything on your phone, go through a Kindle book or something, tell the kids a story on a Kindle book, your grandkids, and you have it on Kindle, you can actually share it from your phone or from your iPad in the same way of screen sharing. Okay, so I'm now sharing my desktop. And that means anything that was there you'd see. Now, going through the controls quickly. Now, I don't have, because I'm not host, the security controls that I would show. And I don't know if Christine can show it, but anyway, here's the mute. Can always tell. Note that I'm wearing headphones. If you have headphones and you're conducting a meeting, or plan to do a lot of talking as a participant, I suggest that you do have headphones that's connected to the back of my computer, that you wear the headphones. And it gives you the option for testing, and also it suggests you test. The video options are, I don't know if any of you have, I don't want you to try it now, but choose virtual background. The virtual background now is Zoom has pictures. You may see a lot of it like jiggling around kind of stuff. It means that your computer doesn't have a strong enough processor to use it. In the videos, also if you stop video, you'll see I've uploaded a profile photo, and I'll show you how you do that. Otherwise, it would just have a head, or it would have your name on it. Now remember I said that name would not show up when in the Zoom recording, excuse me. In the security settings, I forget that I wouldn't be host, so I can't show you Christine, why don't you describe when you click security, what options you have there?
Okay, so I have lock meeting, enable waiting room, allow participants to share screen, chat, rename themselves, and remove participants.
Okay, now sometimes that in the Zoom settings are locked out. You don't want people to rename themselves. There were people coming in doing crazy names and things. So you as a host have a control of that. You can rename the person. Now sometimes somebody will come in with a telephone number or something odd and I'm not sure what it is. They'll say, and so I'll ask if I can name them so we can identify and know who we're talking to. Okay, then the participants I explained and showed to you. The chat, you can just hit the chat and you can see all the chat that's been there. There's 3 things here. I have the option and I think, well, Christine doesn't have the option. I mean, didn't do that. On the web, we'll have there's the option to eliminate save chat. You want to be careful in chatting, again, in privacy, because anything that's chatted goes into the recording, or the computer, or the host will have it when she gets the, he or she gets the information. So I've disabled that now. But again, just know in files, you can add a file. And again, you don't have to do this. The Zoom was originally started for large corporations. So I'll get to the thing and explain. Okay, the recordings, she also has, because she added, I think, polling and breakout rooms. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing, I don't know if she has, I have on a more and it's live, and I'll show you the settings online. Okay, I'm still screen sharing, and I'm assuming it's showing the control. So what I want to do is I want to go to my Zoom web client first, because this is where I recommend that you do your meetings. Now you see, I don't know on Windows, I'm sure you have all open windows. This is my dashboard, or that's not what it's called, but these are all the different things I have. Very often on a Mac, people have it on the bottom. They're very tiny for me because I have a lot of aliases. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. And so those apps that you use all the time, instead of going to application, you can go there. So right now I'm going to Zoom, and it's bringing me right back to the meeting. Now I'm showing you that because sometimes people will say, I can't see everybody, what happened, it disappeared. So what you want to do is tell them to find that application and just click that on, and that'll bring them back into the meeting, like you saw it did for me. And this reminds me also, to see controls, I have it set up so I always see the controls. That's one of the options. Some of you may not see the meeting controls at the bottom or on your on your phone, or however you're on. So in order to see controls, you have to click on the center of the computer. You can also go full screen. I recommend not going, I don't know what I just did, oh no, that hit me on the thing. I recommend going to not doing full screen, so that you can actually get around, see other kinds of things that are open. Okay, well, this Zoom is telling me they want me to go into showing you when you open the Zoom web client. Well, right now it'll take me back to the meeting, but this is what you see. Now up, if you're not familiar with it, there's this tiny little thing, gear up top right, that's for settings, and allows you to do a lot of the basic settings. On the profile is one way where you can change your picture. Put whatever picture you want. And I always suggest that you be appropriate with the picture. If you're doing business type meetings, that you want to have a business type picture profile, especially if you get into doing virtual background. I'll show you quickly the virtual background here, where it's showing. Now Zoom has some choices here, and I have pictures I've added. Now my I have a green screen. You check that and it shows that it can't work. And it'll be all choppy. I'm not even going to bother showing you that. But that's one way you can do virtual background or in your thing. So general, just something, want you to know those settings. At the top, let me just move this down. Move that out of the way. When you get in the top, this is your home page. And I'm only concerned here and with meetings. All your meetings are listed on the left. Everything you have in your meetings here are also on the Zoom web portal. So they're consistent. Settings in one place, stay in, settings in the other place. You choose the meeting you want to be on. And the personal meeting ID, particularly if you have a pro account, I'm not sure if you get that in a free account. In a pro account, you can change that. And I didn't even want to be showing that, what my personal meeting ID is. Well, I'm going to trust that none of you are going to mention that, or I'm actually going to change it. Because you never want to have, you only use your personal ID, never publish it. You use it, I mean, I know my son and other people, that's where they've set up all their meetings. Well, somebody can come in, it's easy to take. I have a meeting that, a number that I know that's quickly, so I'll start my meeting with that, or I'm talking to someone, they want to know how to do something, and I'll say, hey, hop on, and I'll give that number. So I reserve the personal meeting just for special meetings. I schedule individual meetings for different occasions. You might have an all over general one, just general meeting or something, but you have, so if I meet with particular clients, I'll have just a meeting ID for that. I create it as recurring, and that means we always know that that's the meeting we go to. I have a writing group. We just meet on that one, on that one number. All right, so I wanted to go back to the web. Where was I? So if I went into Zoom here, okay, that was showing the, okay, so that's meetings, it's home. Schedule a meeting here is where I say schedule a meeting, and you can do a date. You can create your own password. You can do it as a name. I might have said, I think when we played yesterday, Encore or something, so you can identify it. Again, for safety, never publish, so then that's scheduled. I'm not going to schedule a meeting, and that'll be there. And then you start to use that. So I think that's clear. I don't know how many could ask a poll. I should add that in the next poll into a web client. Okay, now I want to go to let me go back here. Okay, excuse me. I want to go to, well, I had set up in the share. I'm still sharing. Okay, so, oh, by the way, while we were talking about settings, just so you know, since I have these screenshots, the iPad has, well, that didn't work. Stop share. The iPad has the controls on the top, and there is a gallery view. And I forgot to mention here, probably most of you know, I'm in the speaker view now, which I recommend at the, we'll share screen, just at the very top. If those of you that aren't familiar with it, there is, I suspect you are, there's a lot of icons there, and then everybody will come on to the gallery view. And it go back into speaker view. And it's just your speaker. And then that's where I want my focus to be when I'm doing a presentation like this. There is, and that was we're showing here. Now on the iPhone, and I imagine the Android, this kind of thing for showing everybody where you're just playing with the arrow is how you get to see the other people that are on in the meeting on the phone. There's this large enter full screen is up at the very top. Now I recommend not being and entering full screen. And you'll see it says I can escape or double click. The reason I recommend you're not being in full screen is because if you have to check something, now certainly you don't want to be multitasking, but if you have to check something, everything is available here when you're not full screen. So that's another recommendation I have. Okay, now the next thing I wanted to do was I'm going back to, well, I'm still sharing screen, but I want to go back to, I had just Zoom open. There we are. Okay, this is zoom.us. By the way, here I have, and I'll send the link for this, but this is the quick start guide for new users. It's really excellent. And I'll send you the link for that, and it's something you can quickly copy. That's Zoom. Zoom's thing. And while I'm talking about Zooms, so starting your first meeting, inviting others to join, everything you want to know is here. There are now probably hundreds of videos. Zoom themselves have close to 500 videos. I'll show you that in a minute, but you can look up anybody's video for anything. My recommendation is if you have a question, go to any of the zoom.us pages, go over to support, then hit support center. Okay, when you get to support center, you'll see all their videos. Oh, well, that showed all the quick start sides, guides, and you'll see there's a loads of everything. But the best thing I say is a particular question. The quickest way to find the answer is to go into the search right here. How do I host a meeting? If Sheila's not around to ask. And it just tells you right there. You don't have to look at anybody's video, or you can look at their video. Very simple, easy, and direct. A friend of mine called about a question and I found the answer, and then I realized, oh, I could have found it here in seconds. So I point that out to you. Now I'm in my settings. So when you go into, I don't want to open the profile. Once you've logged in, and I keep myself always, remembering, it'll open up to your profile. And I didn't want you to see all my information. So I opened up here to settings. In this bar, when you're here, if you click anything, this is on the side, and you'll see all the different settings and things to go. Now, I mentioned earlier, Zoom originally was started with large, so I'm going now to, I'm on settings, for large corporations, and they have all kinds of different meeting rooms and ways of operating. One thing I want to suggest to you is if you see a setting, or if you see anything on the Zoom blog or anything else that you don't understand, it's probably not meant for you. Don't worry about it. It has something to do with whatever the different rooms they're having and everything else, the way their meetings are managed. I recommend, now I've changed settings, but I recommend, so first you're scheduling a meeting in your web client, but you also at one point or periodically want to check with the settings on the web too, because there's certain things that you can do here that you cannot do from the web client. So I think defaulting gray is off, blue is on. I think the default setting is to start meeting with host video on. I'm not sure, but as I said in the beginning, as a courtesy for myself and for your guests, I have it automatically set up when the meeting starts that the host video, that everyone's video is off. The participants' video is off and my video is off. Telephone computer audio is automatic. There's this join, again, I don't know what the default is before I changed. I have join before host because I have, or that's an option, and you can change with the waiting rooms and everything else. But for my weekly writers or monthly writers group and other things like that, I have joined the meeting before the host. When you know the people or it's a small group, why not let people chat before you come on? The personal meeting ID I discussed. I don't automatically use the personal meeting ID for scheduling a meeting. And I said that before, I do it for an instant meeting. I don't require passwords there. This is one thing, be careful. And I told Christine that only authenticated users can join meetings. Because it seemed like a good thing to do, I enabled it and somebody couldn't get in. And fortunately, it was only one other person, and his wife came to help, and we figured it out. And we closed the meeting, and I did it again, and I disabled that. Again, that has to do with corporate things. So as I said, if you don't know what it does, don't change it. Okay, requiring password. This I think is very important also. I don't know what the default is now, but if you embed the password, have this locked in. When someone when that's locked in, then people don't have to download Zoom or anything else, work through it. They'll be able to get right in. It's an encrypted password. It's long. You wouldn't even know, or you really have to look for the password, but it makes it easier for the newbie just to get in. The upcoming meeting reminders, I have that checked. Usually it seems to know the calendar. It pops up when I set a meeting, and do I want to put it in my iCal calendar? I don't know what this means. I left it at the Zoom setting. Here is where you can change, I said, the option. So you can prevent participants from changing options, but you can allow them to do this. Your choice on what you want to be doing and what kind of meeting. And again, you always have the option in settings when you're in your computer. The private chat I showed, the auto saving, we're not saving the chat. I've stopped that. I personally don't like being in a meeting when you hear people coming and going, but I do want to hear it for myself. So that's an enabling, you have your choice. Here's where you have the co-host option. Now, I recommend you turn co-host on. I think that's not enabled. And by the way, the settings, once you've set a meeting, you can't change them if you set out you can change them, but if you've already set out a meeting invitation, et cetera, then you don't, so like Christine couldn't have added co-host to this. Polling is, I just did it in case they ever want to do it. I do recommend always showing the meeting control bar. Makes it a lot easier for me, and I'm sure you. This is the one, I don't know whether it's new or not. I found it the other day and I enabled it, and it may be new, and that's what it's allowing you to see all the controls when you screen share and all the side controls and everything else. I just have this host only, which is what Christine had, because you don't want anybody suddenly popping in, starting to share the screen. But as you saw in the settings, when you're on there, that can be changed. Whiteboard is something that's user remote control. So those are the main things. Now here's one that I had never known. I saw people doing and waiting, you can decide that. This is off. I never paid attention to it. Allow live stream meetings. And I was wondering how some people were doing Zoom meetings on Facebook. I thought they had a webinar account. There's a free account. I'm sure probably most of you know, but when you go up there, Zoom tells you what the different accounts are. And so I thought people had a webinar account, which is something beyond pro. As soon as you click live stream, allow live stream meetings, Facebook is an option. So I could go onto any of my pages and I could live stream from Facebook when it's working. I understand people were having problems. So live stream from YouTube, you need to have 1,000 subscribers. And anyway, so that's there if you ever want it. It doesn't affect anything. It's just there if it happens. Notifications. Okay, and so that's pretty much it. Like, here's the whole thing I don't know, don't regenerate. Scheduling a meeting. I'm showing you this here. Remember, I said to do it in the, and by the way, somebody said she had all kinds of problems. the reason I'm showing you, because she kept scheduling a meeting or she kept hosting a meeting. And so she had a lot of different meetings and people couldn't get into what it was. Here is the only place where you can do registration, requiring that. And that means when you have a meeting, and you'll also get the list of names, they have to require registration, especially if you're going to have an unknown audience also. And then if you're ever checking a recurring meeting, it has the recurrence different times, and you can do the date and set how many times, but you can also have no fixed time. And that's what I do for. Now, we lost the registration there, but we don't need it, or I could always go back. So I think that covers. Now I'm going simply to get back to my window. I'm going over to my dock. That's what it's called. And I'm finding the Zoom icon. And now I'm back with you. So I think I pretty much covered everything that was join from browser. Yeah, that's important. And all of these things I do have, you'll have it in the audio. I'm in the replay, but I also have, or I'm putting together a tips. So everything I covered here will be in print for you. If you opt in, there's an opt-in page that sends you the link. And that's just Technology for Seniors Made Easy, Zoom-meeting-tips-Encore. How did I get to previous page? Zoom. James, can you elaborate on that? James asked how I got to the previous page, how I got to the Zoom page. And sharing screen, I'm still sharing screen, so you're seeing everything that I'm seeing.
Right, the previous page that was Zoom Solutions, the one you had before this, the one that had Zoom Solutions on the top of it, how you got there, what was the icon you hit?
Zoom Solutions. Well, I went into my internet. Are you talking about going here?
Yes, yes, how you got there?
Okay, I just went, this is just, I went to zoom.us.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, zoom.us. So I also was already logged in. I'm sorry, good question. So zoom.us, and this happens to now be showing I scheduled a meeting wherever I was, but go into zoom.us and you'll either get, if you're permanently logged in, or you'll get a choice to join for free. If you've not joined Zoom, I adamantly suggest join Zoom for free so that you can have the web client downloaded into your computer. Zoom will never be sending you emails unless you sign up for their blog, which I strongly recommend you do to that also, to keep up to date. And I also say anybody that opts in if there's anything important. So that was the thing. And then I showed you all the settings and everything. And you can do everything. Somebody was trying to do, a couple people were trying to do everything from here, and I didn't realize it. And that's why they were having challenges. So that's why I'm adamant about working from your web client, not hosting the meeting up here. Okay. And then to get back easily, because people wonder, okay, how do I get back? I just went to my dock and it's bringing me back to where I was. Okay.
So should we take some questions?
I could breathe.
You can breathe, and maybe you want to add your link in the meantime in the chat room.
Okay.
Okay, and if you have any questions, I know there's tons of questions. It's a lot to absorb if you're not familiar, but let's see. Rosemary asked, what is web client and where do you find it?
Web client is the language now Zoom is using for the app on your computer. And then desktop client, I'm sorry, it's not web client. If I said that, I was wrong. It's the desktop client. So you know that you're on the desktop. I used to say, open up the Zoom app, which is that icon right here, and we're operating from my desktop. We're not operating from the web. So the web platform is where some of those extra settings are, like to add polling, to add registration. So you need to be familiar with it because there are probably things there you want to have enabled. Now you don't see it on the bottom, but if I were host, I would have that security and the different things there you would see on the bottom of the toolbar. Okay, that answers your question, I assume, Rosemary?
So for
If you're looking for it in your computer, you wouldn't go client, you'd look in your computer for applications. And you would see Zoom as an application, and then what happens on the Mac, and I assume you have a similar thing too, I have make an alias. So when Zoom is open, this would always be here, but I have that on my dock always because I use Zoom all the time. So all I have to do is click on that to get into Zoom. I don't have to search for applications or anything else. Okay, I have a question that how does the host move from one device to another during a meeting? Anita, you want to be unmute and be more specific to the question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I like to start my art class facing my computer so I can see everybody, but then I have to move to my iPad so that they can see what I'm actually doing, which is facing down. And so I don't know how to do that, how to move from one device to another without ending the meeting or leaving the meeting or whatever. Do you have any advice?
I would suggest that you mirror your iPad.
When I heard you say that, I thought the same thing.
And in mirroring your iPad, you might have to go back and forth. You want to be quiet, or you want to make sure that you're not sound conflicting. One of the things I recommend strongly, and I always say, come to this whole experience as your play, and especially the artists and the creative people. I did a thing with 3, so anytime I wanted to test something, you can ask some friends. Morgina will often call or say, hey, check this out. But you can also set up your iPhone and your iPad as participants and co-host, and I have them in different sections and then play. So I would suggest that you might even make, or your iPad can be host. One of the things I prefer working from the computer because the screen sharing is much different. If you want to go around from the web, you're limited on the iPad and the iPhone, on the mobile devices, as to how you share. But I would say that's what I would say you do, Anita, is just play with it, plug it in. I actually did I'm not one that's ever done much in PowerPoint. I did one keynote presentation for a presentation in the library. I did thank Rosemary for the invitation in the library. I plugged in my iPad.
I don't know what that noise is. It's not me.
Okay, if someone's not asking a question, please mute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Is that better, Anita?
Yeah, it's that shuffling noise that I was hearing.
Okay.
I had one other question, which is kind of related to this, which is if you want to show a still thing, like a shot from the web during your presentation, would you set that up on your other device and just mirror it? Is that what you would do?
Well, it depends. If I were showing from my iPad or my iPhone, if I were doing a thing, I would then I would have saved that to my photos. And when I shared photos, I would have it in there. Mm-hmm. The way you see I set up here on my computer, I had tried to clear everything up and I just had the specific things there that I wanted to show. Yeah. And to keep it clean and to make it easier to access. What I did with my iPad, I started saying with the keynote presentation, is I set it up next to my computer. I had the volume off, the sound off on the iPad, so there was no conflicting. And I actually showed the PowerPoint. I screen shared the iPad, and I was showing the PowerPoint presentation that was on the keynote presentation that was on the iPad, talking about it on my computer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know how it works.
I will.
While we're waiting to see if there's any other questions, I just want to add something there. I noticed myself from hosting meetings that people don't realize even the smallest noise is amplified when it's coming through your computer microphone. So even if you are watching or on a Zoom call and you're typing on your computer, it comes through very loudly. And everyone can hear that. So you may think you're being discreet, but you're not. So that's why it's really important. And Sheila and I talked about this yesterday because, you know, there is a certain etiquette to being on a call, and that includes, you know, muting yourself so there's no background noise. If you don't want to be seen, you know, then shutting the video off. So there's, you know, a certain etiquette to it, just as there would be in any other type of business meeting. So, you know, your background, you know, we talked about the creating a background, but be very cognizant about what's behind you. You know, when you are on screen, what do people see? Do you want them to see a pile of a mess, or, you know, and of course, obviously your appearance. And I know one of the pictures that went around when we all started getting on Zoom was of the guy who had his business jacket on, but he was in his boxer shorts, and unfortunately the camera caught his leg. You know, so you really need to be cognizant of how you are being viewed as well. Sheila, you want to add anything to that?
Because I have the headset, you probably wouldn't have heard me typing, but anyway, I muted because I was typing. It sounds, I'm laughing because you probably missed the one with the woman that was on gallery view in the meeting, and she was in the bathroom and got up as they were there.
Yeah, so if you have to do anything, you know, scratch or whatever, you know, take yourself off video for a minute. Do we have any other question? I see there's another question there. Let me see. Okay. Why am I not seeing it? Okay. Okay. It's trying to scroll down here.
And if anybody has a question, we sort of missed it, you can try raise hand.
Okay. Morgene, why do I see the chat all the time and I cannot close it? Do I have the chat showing all the time? I probably did now, yes.
Well, I open chat, it depends, it varies. Sometimes if it's in participant, if you're on the iPad, you just close there's a thing that says you can close it like a drop down, like a tiny triangle. Mm-hmm. Right now I just opened chat. I don't have participants open because I'm screen sharing, and there was a little place to, I think I'm still screen sharing. Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm stopping share.
Okay. All right. Morgene said thank you. Okay, Sheila also put her website in the chat box for you with the tips sheet that she created for you. technologyforseniorsmadeeasy.com/Zoom meeting tips Encore. So she'll be happy to share that with you.
And the message you'll get, depending on when you opt in, I'll tell you right now, the message will tell you right now that it will get to you within 24 hours. They still have to type them all up, and it will include a link to Christine will be sending out a link to the recording. I will also have the link in that opt-in thing, and I will not be doing a lot of mailings to that list. What I say is I will be keeping up with Zoom, so if there's any big changes or anything like that, you might get an email from me.
Okay, awesome. So thank you very much. Malika said thank you very much. And thank you for joining us. And before we close, I just want to share the Encore, a little bit about Encore.
Wait, excuse me, you're right, because you should be the final person. I do want to say one more thing. when you get the thing, it's going to take you back to the treasureyourlifenow.com webpage. And I'm putting that as the link because I have a lot of different things I'm interested in. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is your untold stories. I'll put a link to that also. And it's for people spontaneously getting into stories, sharing, particularly now with the stay at home. I mean, more people are going out. It's just to spontaneously get into capturing the present and the past stories. And Zoom is one way you can be doing it. As you're recording different things, if you're on a Zoom meeting with a family, you may not record the whole thing, but somebody says something, you see how we stopped and started recording, you can capture those stories. And even though people are writing them down and having them, it's very hard to pass the written thing from place to place. Recordings can be uploaded onto YouTube. There are a variety of ways the recordings can be shared. So I go into that and I work with people in a lot of different ways. So that's why the Treasure Your Life there now is there, and I'll give some added links. And as I said at the beginning, I do have a 30-minute free consultation. If you want to just go over things that may be bothering you or that you might be wanting to work on, we can get into the how there or see if there's something for us to be working together in the future. Okay, thanks, Rosemary. Thanks, Christine. I appreciate all that you do.
Okay, thank you. I was going to give you that opportunity, but that's okay. I'm glad you got all of that in because it's all valuable. Everything you do is valuable and we appreciate you. And if you are interested in any type of technology, Sheila is really very adept at just about anything from your iPhone to even up to your cameras. She takes incredible pictures as well. And she's also started a number of different I hate to say jobs, but it did a lot of different
Careers.
careers. Yes. So she's very interesting, and you might want to join her on Facebook as well and learn more about what she does, as well as go to her website. And as far as Encore Palm Beach County, if you are not familiar, I recommend that you visit our website and sign up for our emails. We are, as I said, we are offering many more of these programs to keep you informed, and we are a great resource for any work opportunities. We're posting work opportunities that we get continuously, and whether they be in part-time opportunities or full-time, as well as volunteer opportunities. And we also have coming up in October, which was postponed from this coming week, I believe, the Wisdom and Experience Awards, and where we will be honoring employers who honor actually the older workers. And so we would be happy for you to learn more about that and participate and find out more about how you can participate with Encore. We are growing. We are a nonprofit 501c3. We are a volunteer army. We have no funding as of yet. And if you have some wisdom and experience of your own that you would like to share, please come on board. We'd love to have you join us. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you very much, Sheila. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Rosemary, our founder, for hosting these events. And everyone stay well and watch for next week's workshops. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for all the time you spent with me and all you've done, the work we've done together. And thanks everybody here. It was great to see some friends and to meet some new friends.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a great day.